In a previous article that was written for WRX, I concluded that the iron trace would be different than that for a driver trace. Iron trace different than that for a wood trace. That's still going to hold water. But what's interesting is that the brake effect, as we define it, is the body slowing down so that you can use it as a lever to hit against to generate resistance and peak power, create peak power. Why don't you take a look at this stuff? Jim Renner on the right hand with the 4-iron, both with Scott Hamilton, and Chris Kirk on the left hand side with the driver. And you can take a look at the peaks on the velocity chart, and you'll notice just how Scott's using 1.2 seconds right here, 1.19, 1.18. That's a good idea. It declutters the COP chart because all the data points on the COP chart are built from the data points collected in the velocity chart. I want you to take a look at this though, because we had thought that the brake effect has to go below the baseline and go back up. It's not true, and we weren't wrong. We just that's the way it mostly looks. I want you to take a look at this number on the, and this is a cool feature with the new 1.09 software. Okay, so we're entering into the peak velocity, and the peak velocity is 345 centimeters per second. And I can't quite catch it here because we're going to skip a frame. But at this point, we're going 133.7 centimeters per second. And then we're going to go just past the peak. Look at that. It slows right down to 97.9. And it slows down to 92. So he's slowing down on a lateral basis to make contact. And went to his profile on the PGA Tour stats. His average drive is 286. Both these fellows hit the ball almost identical within a yard according to the stats. I mean, you know, they can probably boom at 330 if they have to, but just that's their stats based on the holes that were collected on. And now on the right, Jim Renner, he's hitting a 4-iron, and this for sure, this lateral trace is just superb. But I want you to take a look at also the same points, or like to point out to you the COP velocity in centimeters per second again. But this time we're gonna get a little closer to the peak. So it's going to 60, it's going to 168. His peak is 212.8 centimeters per second. So I missed, we couldn't quite catch the peak there because we're collecting so many data points here. But that's 185, and now it's going to slow right down to 60 to 37. So he is braking with his lead, his lead foot, his lead side is slowing down. His lateral motion is basically slowed down to almost nil. And he's braking, and in the iron, he is pulling back just prior to impact. He's just going, that dot's, watch the white dot. And it is going back a bit. So it just shows you that as long as the trace is lateral, the weight's moving side to side, not dipping up and down. If the guy can do that and maintain that lateral trace, that you can generate more power by, just resisting at the lead with the lead side. And we took a good look with Chris, and I was talking to Scott about this, quite interestingly. And Chris has got very fast hands, and then Scott sent me over some video of Chris, and I've seen it. You can see it a few times with some really big hitters where they use their lead arm as a brake almost, and they almost slow down their lead arm. It's almost like a snap or a slingshot. It's just an observation, and I thought it would be interesting for everybody. You might be celebrating New Year's Eve today, and you might have nothing to do for a bit. I just thought this is a really cool and interesting observation that we could catch with BodiTrak. Thank you very much. Have a great day. BodiTrak, Hashimoto out.